Yeah, so the Odyssey is a story that I read the abridged version of, like growing up, and like I've always liked things like cyclopses and like hydras and mermaids, you know, and shit like that. And the idea of Christopher Nolan doing all that stuff was really cool because it seems so different from everything he's done. And I was like, this might be amazing, or like it's just gonna be weird. And I only questioned it because I disliked Tenet so much. And I really have a passionate like dislike for that movie. I would love to discuss it with Christopher Nolan and challenge his philosophy on it, but that's a conversation for another time that will probably never happen. But if it does, I'm gonna start texting Christopher Nolan, dude. Either way, Mr. Doesn't Have a Cell Phone directed this. And, I mean, you must live under a rock if you have not heard about this movie. And everything you've heard about the Odyssey it's true, man. It's so awesome that we're letting movies that deserve to succeed finally succeed, because this is just proving the point of what everyone was complaining about AI. If you film something, anything, but if you film it for real, it will always be better than like, you know, generating it, or, you know, like, or really faking it, like with CGI and stuff, which is still the equivalent of like basically a 3D painting if you really want to think about it like that. But I'll tell you, man, this is everything. Like, the movie is really long. I was never bored in it. I think that it's this really cool amalgamation of all of Christopher Nolan's works, and it does something new that he's never done before that I'll get into a little bit. It's probably one of my favorite scenes in the movie. But there's elements of Memento in this. There's elements of Oppenheimer. There's elements of The Dark Knight. And I think that all these tricks of the trade that he's learned, and the way that he takes a simple story and takes that to his advantage and uses it to show this crazy scale of stuff. I think that the movie, in a word, is just approachable. Like, that's the best part about Christopher Nolan, is that, like, I think that even though he sometimes will address things that are pretty complex, I think that he makes it digestible, dude. Something like Oppenheimer, that doesn't really seem like something that, you know, at surface level, like I would be like, oh yeah, let me just read about this, and I wouldn't understand a word of it, but he made me feel like I didn't miss a beat. And as far as adapting something that is considered to be a poem, I think that he did it exactly the way that you're supposed to do it, with grace, elegantly, and comparable to something that people would say is Shakespearean, you know? Carefully written dialogue, a cast that is like maybe the most stacked cast I've ever seen in my life. Side note about that, it goes to show that Christopher Nolan is tapped in, and he watches the good movies and shit that I like, for example, because it made me so happy. All these actors, I was super, you know, I loved everybody's performance. I thought everyone was good. But the one I was most excited to see was my boy Logan Marshall Green, aka Tom Hardley. One of my favorite movies, Upgrade. And he has a part in this movie, and I thought that he was fucking awesome. But this is everything, like I said in my video of The Real Thing. This has The Pest. This has Spider-Man. You know, it has Zendaya. It has this cast it's crazy, and everyone does an amazing job. Everyone is there to say words, and even someone like Travis Scott, who they were like, wow, could you imagine putting a rapper in the movie? Christopher Nolan really sold out. All these people who are saying that are fucking idiots, because they never thought for 1 second, what's a rapper? A fucking poet. And the movie opens with a goddamn rapper being a poet. It was great. Seamless, you know? And not once did I go like, oh, that's out of place. The whole movie is it's so well orchestrated. Like, it takes you for a ride that is not told necessarily in order, and it jumps around. And the way that it explains things and the way that it adapts it. I think that, obvious thing to say is obvious, but it's textbook, you know, like this is how you fucking do it. And I don't know if I would say the film is flawless. It's one of my favorite movies of the year. I still prefer the Hail Mary, but the thing is like Hail Mary is like one of the greatest movie ever made and an homage to the greats, and needs to be held up like 2001 Space Odyssey, as this movie should be held up like in high regard as like something like, I'm sure Lawrence of Arabia, you know, is something that Christopher Nolan would be like, yeah, you know, like it's an epic tale that takes place over like a real fucking place, and it really makes a difference, man. There's such minimal CGI in this, like the surprises of how they portray certain things and how they explain certain stuff, I thought was just awesome. Christopher Nolan is really good at going, look at this cool thing, and then like you'll be like, what is that? And he'll be like, right here, and then he'll be like, remember the cool thing, and you're like, whoa. And I think that he did that a lot in this movie, and it was so rewarding as an audience member to watch, dude. Watching these guys, even though the story was out of order and we're all familiar with the story, seeing like them go on this path, like I really didn't know what the next turn was gonna be, and I loved that. I really, really loved that. And the scene that I was talking about that I want to see more of from Christopher Nolan, that felt new for him, was the scene where they go to the island and they come across basically like a witch. And there's this like awesome scene where like Odysseus is staying at the boat, and all his men are going to find like food and stuff, and they go up there and they find this lady, and she starts serving them food, and there's this awesome scene of like body horror where like they're really like fucking up people's faces, and through like the magic of editing, like they're doing some really scary stuff. And like I want to see Christopher Nolan explore what he was doing in that scene and make a whole movie. I don't need a witch movie necessarily, but like, dude, like that was so effective, and it was so practical, and it looked so cool. I really loved it. Imagine the effect that they did in Deadpool Wolverine with the chick where she was like shoving her hand in people's faces. Imagine that, but like practical and like through editing. Like if you haven't seen the movie, like what happens is like this witch like feeds these guys this fish stew that they can't stop eating, and she like morphs them into fucking pigs. And it's horrifying. And there's a lot of tension in the scene where Odysseus finally goes to look for his men, and like she's like, you can slaughter the pigs, and he has a really interesting discussion with the character. And then the stuff that, remember I was saying he knows how to introduce cool stuff, and like Christopher Nolan, like when he introduces this scene, you see like all these animals, which you later learn is basically people that she turned into animals. And I was wondering, I was like, damn, that leopard looks sad as hell right now. Why is that leopard so sad? And it made sense. Apart from that, the puppeteering on like the fucking Cyclops was everything. The Hydra, I would really like to know how they did that. I'm surprised I didn't think of that. Like where the lady said like, you're going to lose 6 men. I was like, 6? Like, how the fuck do you know that? And it was because the Hydra had 6 heads. But the most like duh thing, and I think that's the most like interesting thing that I can say from my point of view, thank you Brickford Wilson for continuing your sub, is, guys, they need to cancel. This is what the title of this video is going to be. All right, Gary, why they need to cancel the God of War adaptation, an Odyssey review, why they need to cancel the God of War TV show. There is no way that the adaptation of the God of War show on Amazon is going to come close and even hold a candle to Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. Christopher Nolan's Odyssey is that adaptation of God of War that you want. It's it, man. And it's because God of War is so fucking heavily influenced on all the God of War games. All of them. It's crazy. It influenced the original stories in a lot of ways, but they take it at the Greek mythology and they add in the Norse mythology. And instead of like, the Odyssey, which is a story about a son holding out for his father to come home, it's a story of a father and his son finding who they are and what is their home. And I thought I was really dumb for not thinking of that before. But my point is, if they first of all, since they stopped production on God of War, good. Cancel this and go talk to Christopher Nolan and ask him what is the amount. Christopher Nolan could do the sickest adaptation of God of War. Honestly, after seeing the Odyssey, I think that it's pointless. I think that the idea of them trying to do God of War, they're not gonna have the gravitas. They're not gonna have weight to what they're doing. It's gonna be just it's gonna be like Resident Evil 6 and 7, like the movies, where it's like, Jesus, we're just having the character show up at this point, like, look at that. There's the guy. He's there in that stupid jacket with the blonde hair. And I think that God of War is very rich, like the Odyssey, and I don't want it to become like, there he is show. So I think that, it sucks that what happened to that actor, that he got injured. But after seeing the Odyssey, they need to go back to the drawing board, because I know that it's all green screen. I know that I can't imagine that it looked so bad from those pictures. But, I don't think it needs to be shot on IMAX necessarily. But I think that they could make more of an effort with something like God of War. And if they're going to spend $100 million per episode, they can make it look just as good as the Odyssey. Which, this is like, the only reason this wouldn't be like a 10 out of 10 movie for you is if like you don't have the patience for it. Like, I don't think that I could point at this and be like, that's a flaw, like this is about it. This is the ultimate movie. This is a love letter to classic Hollywood. It's a love letter to like what true filmmaking is capable of. It's a love letter to just like films in general, I think. Just because of the grounded and the texture of it, it feels so real. So I honestly hate the way that they're releasing this movie. I think it's stupid. I think that everybody has always said for years the black bars above and below the movie is the dumbest thing in the world. And when you see it, it's not as much a 4x3 as it just feels like a full frame, you know, like how this stream is. Like it's just this full box. And I think it's dumb. I think it's dumb that someone would have to go see the movie at 3 a.m. to see it correctly, you know? I love watching movies on film, but I'll tell you, whites do not look good on film, you know? I saw it in 70mm. It was pretty amazing. It was pretty amazing. The blacks look amazing. Like the colors, like you see like how my shirt is black, like it on film, like you can really see like the texture of that. But like a white sky like has a flicker to it. Like it has like a real moviness to it that's cute to watch, but like I still think that, you know, it's good enough these days that I had to get used to it watching in 70mm. But I think that if you watch this at home, you'll have an amazing time. And I might go see it at the Bob Bullock, just because like I want to see it like on an even bigger screen, and I would be down to see it again. And their tickets are pretty cheap. I saw it in 70mm at the AFI in Silver Spring here in DC. But yeah. When you should wait till next month, Mike. It's gonna be at the Bob Bullock, and it'll be worth seeing there in 70mm IMAX. But can't recommend it enough. I loved it, and I hope you guys will go see it. But that's pretty much it. That's all I got. So, end of review. I'd give it like a perfect score. It's better than Sex. Dude, every movie wishes they were as sick as this, dude.
If love depends on billing cycles,
what happens after decline? Subscription active, but I don't feel alive. I subscription active, just perfectly aligned.